Rostowitz.
Rostowitz.
Those of you I wish will know me as Mr. B.
Mr. B. So he's going to speak to us a little bit about classroom management. So
Can we take notes?
over to you.
You help me write this, Coach. And by all means, I think Coach Stu picked me because at Wish I am a special education co-teacher, so I have lots of experience integrating kids with mild, moderate, or even severe needs in terms of behavior. I've co-taught with, I think, 25 people now just in terms of general ed, as well as coaches on top of that, music teachers, art teachers. So I've seen a lot of great things. I've done some things. I've done some things that haven't worked. I've taught with moms before, who are now crossing over into the coaching field as well. So I am not the be-all, end-all. I'm a work in progress, like all of us are, both in content area and in management. But I do have some trial and error, some training, and some hands-on information to say, here's what I've done that's worked. Here's what I've done that hasn't worked. Tell me what's worked for you, so we can get a working virtual document here. So as you go into your first class, is it next week? When do you guys launch?
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
That you're going in with a plan. Because what I've realized in working with 5-Star on campus is Coach hires a lot of people who are content experts. Ceramics, dance, tennis, archery, the list goes on and on, right? But then people come with different levels of experience in terms of management and different philosophies on management. But the idea is you have to have one. I know when I first got into teaching, coming out of college, and I was going to be a high school teacher, and I'm 22, and the students in my class are seniors, 18 and 19, and I was naive to think they were just going to listen, right? I love history and sociology, and they will too, and as soon as I start talking, 45 minutes of paying attention. But I've learned over the years, you have to put just as much thought into management of your group, in terms of behaviors, as you do in terms of your content, right? So the way I wanted to frame it, and again I'll reiterate, this isn't interactive. As much as you want to interact, if you like to listen, by all means listen, and we can hash out later. If you're on my campus, we can hash out later. But if you have things to say, by all means, throw them out there. Because I want you speaking with your colleagues about your life experiences, your teaching experiences, and the tricks and the strategies you've used. So they can put together their package going into 2 weeks from now, and they're feeling comfortable. The first thing we're looking at is this behavior pyramid. And that's the framework I choose, because it's highly visual, and it establishes when you're in a group of students, regardless of the size, if you're doing just sound classroom management strategies, whole group strategies, this part would be green if it was projected, this bottom part of the pyramid. You're talking somewhere around 70–80% of those students are going to respond to that. Just a good solid approach. You work your way up the pyramid, the middle part's yellow, if this were to be projected. And now we're starting to talk about, depending on the group, this could vary. Sometimes you feel like you have a majority of kids who are working in the green and red, the yellow and red area. You have kids who are going to need a little bit more intervention, a little bit more specialized, a little bit more individualized. And then you get up to the top tier of the pyramid, and you're talking about maybe in a classroom of 22, you're talking about maybe 1 or 2 kids where you're going to need a highly intensive program beyond what you would do. And those of you with teaching experience, the kid where you go, oh my God, I can't believe he or she's in my class. Controlling the whole day or night, or whenever it is your teaching session is. But the idea is, with the effort and strategies that we're going to talk about, you should be able to curb most of those. If you have the idea that, yes, I'm willing to try different variables until we get this program in place. So let's talk about what green strategies are. That is, if you do these green strategies, the vast majority of your class is going to respond to your whole classroom management. And I list them in bullets. We can stop and talk and give examples if you're not following, or you can give examples where you've done that, or you can give examples and say where this doesn't work. Which is to say, I had a teacher who was a middle school teacher, right, which I find to be the most difficult age group to work with, and we can disagree on that. I'm a kinder teacher, by the way, kinder first. But I've had the most difficult experience with middle school, personally. And I would be floored by this man. He would sit behind his desk, never move, and just talk. No visuals, no hands-on learning, no interaction. But he was so good vocally that he held their attention, and he held my attention too. He was just that good at his lecture. He doesn't need any of this. And you know your strengths, and you should teach to your strengths, right? But some of this might fill in the gaps where you've been lacking before. Maybe your whole thing is, I'm going to build such great rapport with everybody that they're going to love me so much they're going to want to do what I ask them to do. And there's people like that. I have teachers that wish, who are just so loving and warm, their kids would go to the ends of the earth, right? I have to use comedy on it. You know? It's use your strengths, fill in the gaps with these structures and techniques.
Yeah, nothing wrong with comedy.
Right, whatever you have, use it. So, first and foremost, engaging activities. I always think, okay, at 5-star, the parents sat with them, they went through the list of the options, and the kids signed up for something they like. Which most of the time is true, but I've also seen, wait, why is this kid in chess? He hates chess. I want him to stick it out and learn the value of making something happen. He's 5, okay, we're going to make this work. Right? But hopefully, the activity they selected to be in your group is just engaging. They love doing chess, they love doing basketball, they love doing football, what have you. They love doing ceramics. And you're going to bring these engaging activities to them. That's line of defense number 1. Have stuff that kids are excited about. Right? Then you're holding that magic, you're holding that currency. Right? Because they want to participate in it, and they're going to do what you ask them to do within reason, so they can participate in it. Have engaging activities. Even within your content, there's probably a fun way to teach soccer, and then maybe a way that's not as fun for 5-year-olds. And picking those activities that are age appropriate, that they're going to enjoy. I've seen this work with teachers who, by the way, I was just in professional development, and teachers are talking while the presenter's talking. Teachers are on their phone while the presenter's talking. Teachers are doing all the things that they ask their students not to do. Right? I always find that ironic. And then they open it up for discussion, and teachers complain about those things. Like, do you realize what you were just doing? But having attention getters for any age level. I'll throw out some of mine so you have them in your tool belt in case you don't have it. And these are situations where maybe you brought up something fun and it just spurred off a tangent side conversation with the group. And they're not being mean or malicious in terms of not paying attention. They're just excited about whatever they're talking about. And you need to bring them back quickly. Things like bum, ba-da-dum, bum, 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 right? And I like that one the most because when I do the call and she does the response, when she does the response, her mouth becomes engaged in the response. There's certain ones where I have a teacher and she loves, give me 2. And that's 2 signals, we use this. The issue with this is, so anyway, there I was at not my favorite, but it works for her. You gotta have them in your tool belt though. There's also, one of our tech teachers does, class, they say, yes, yes. And you might have to explicitly teach these until they know the routine. Anyone have any other ones they want to talk about?
There's a good one we use all the time, which is, and a hush fell over the crowd, and then the kids go, hush. And just in doing the shh, it actually calms them down. Or waterfall, waterfall, and then they go, shh.
Perfect examples, and those are probably the ones you use, and they work well.
I'm trying that tomorrow.
Waterfall, that's for the little ones. The little ones I just usually say, raise your hand if you can hear me talk, or I just say the bump up, that works well.
Oh, sorry. You just talk and raise my hand. That was nice.
Here I am.
You just a really quiet, like if you can hear me clap once, and then like 2 kids do it, if you can hear me clap twice. Oh, then make sure the difference. If you clap 3 times, then we'll see how many you go, and then hopefully we'll 3. It'll work sometimes.
Here we clap 26 times.
Yeah, right. Then they kind of police each other too, and they'll be like, clap, like your friends. So it kind of helps if we get in with each other too.
Perfect example, and I've been extending some of these, like they get bored of them. So if you're feeling musical, you're feeling goofy, and they'll always then pay attention, or if you go, the shh, 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 right? right? You just start breaking off some riffs, they're gonna be into it like what you're doing, and then they do their last one, and you launch back into your lecture or your teaching, right? But you have to have those redirections because they say, and I don't know if this is rooted in research, but I've certainly experienced it, age +5 or age ×2 in terms of passive listening attention span. So a 5-year-old, if you're lucky, and we're talking about the average 5-year-old, you might get 10 minutes of listening. So if you have a 15-minute chess lecture, right, you might not be able to hold them that long. You're going to have to do some shh, 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 or if you hear me clap twice, or a hush fellow, something, a couple times throughout, and expect it. And you know what you brought up, the two you brought up made me think of my TK teachers. Again, I have the privilege of getting to watch a lot of people teach, so I look like I'm really smart, but I'm like, no, I've just seen a lot of people teach, and I've seen some things work, is you're coming in at 2, 3 o'clock. I know our TKers right now after lunch, when am I going home? When am I going home? What, mom signed me up for something else? Right? They bring them in after lunch. First thing they do is meditation. To get that body centered, I never believed in this stuff. I'm more old school. Like, what do you get to meditate and breathe in? Let's go, let's get in line here. But I've just seen how effective it is with our kids. And some of the kids who have the most intense behavior programs, some of our teachers who are really into mindfulness and meditation, oh, they ask for it. That's what really got me. Some of my kids who have extreme violent behaviors, their teacher teaches them this stuff, just whole class, and they will bring it up. Well, can I go do my breathing? Can you turn on such and such meditation? So now I'm the reluctant, I'm the latecomer. Like, okay, I guess I better learn this stuff.
The
It's
Star
part of my
Wars
children.
one is really popular.
Star Wars yoga?
Yeah.
Right. And if I don't have the visual of it, if I run down to so-and-so's class and teach, they have to run home, and I don't have the video set up or anything like that, I can lead them through breathing, through example, through a calming voice, right? And it might just be 2 minutes of resetting, right? If they're looking squirrely, they're looking like they have high energy, right? And you don't want to take the risk, well, let's get the wiggles out, and that gets them more amped up. You know what I mean? By get the wiggles out, you're going to do like, get up, Simon said, then you try to sit them back down, now they're even higher energy. Try to go the opposite route. Try to go with the relaxation, right? Let's give ourselves a squeeze, pretend pulling a balloon from the ceiling, all these calming, slow movement, voices off type techniques, and then start your lesson for the day. You might be amped up yourself to get into it, but maybe taking that extra 2 minutes can help set the stage so you can get through that lecture. Because they're chomping at the bit to, I want to get out to the field. Well, we have to do a little lecture first about what we're working on in the field. So thanks, sir. I'm going to add that to my thing for next year, Coach. Thank you for those. So that's your attention getters, going down the list. Written visual agenda. Going back to my example of our TKers, first time they're doing, TK stands for Transitional Kindergarten, if some of you don't know. And so they're 4, about to turn 5. I know some of you work with as little as 2-year-olds. What's happening? When do I see mommy next? Right? If you come in as part of your arsenal, the visual schedule. You know, we're doing whole group, and you got the little picture of the kids sitting there, and then we're going to go with, I don't know what your content is, but boom, we're doing this, and then we get picked up. Right? So then if they continue to ask, speaking of asking, if I could jump down the list, and I tend to like to do this, but it's on my mind now. Somewhere on there, I say raise hand. Raise your hand. Use signals. Common things, like restroom. At Wish, it's this. Apparently that's an R in sign language, and you shake your fist. Right? Because in the middle of lecture, you don't need 4 or 5 kids raising their hand. What is it? I want to go to the restroom. Well, you could have just done this. And then you don't have to miss a beat. She's shaking her fist with the R. And back up here, right? So things that you know are going to be common questions, teach them signals and only respond to those signals. One of the number one things I noticed with teaching it, and this includes some of my most experienced teachers, and it's a little bit pet peeve of mine, they get tired of the incessant calling out, shouting out, whatever you want to call it. But at the same time, the teacher hasn't conditioned him or herself to not respond to it. I'll see, little Johnny here call out, and the teacher will answer Johnny. Well, what did you just condition behaviorally? The class has learned if I want to say something, I just call out, and the teacher answers me. Even if, the worst thing to do is do it every once in a while. It's like a slot machine, right? It works sooner or later. You have to be 100% one way or the other. If you like to structure the class loosely, and they can just call out whenever, then do that. But if you're like, most of the time I like it structured so I'm not interrupted, and I don't want kids running up to me,
Yes.
Miss Andrew, you need to condition that from day one. And I'm just ignoring kids. I'm right now at this time here. Oh, Mr. B only looks for quiet hand. And I will go up to the first kid with the quiet hand and make a big guy. Well, she had a quiet hand. What is it you need? And now these guys over here will run up and they realize and they go back to their seat. But you have to condition yourself so you can condition them. And I see it all the time. And I make the mistake myself. But do know that. If kids are calling out and you talk to them in any capacity or get their need met, they will have learned that they can call out or run up to you or whatever it is that you're responding to. If you say you have to be on your spot to get attention, then you're going to have to follow through on it. Okay, back up to the top where we were. And again, interrupt me at any point with contrary evidence, anecdotes, examples. Explicit expectations on each activity. Yes, sir. Oh, please. Please do, Coach Denver. Yeah, the other one, we do W water. So if you're wishing you see this, you know what they're doing. Why is
I
that
have a
kid?
question. A couple of times there might be students that go under the table.
Mm-hmm.
How do you take care of those?
Give me more to the scenario.
So everybody's doing their activity, what they're supposed to,
Mm-hmm.
but automatically this one child comes in every time and goes directly under the table. And we have to pull them from underneath the table, try to coax them from underneath the table.
It's like every time, that's what gets me. That's their.
At that point, the answer could be many things, because what a behaviorist is going to ask is, what is the function of his or her behavior? Right? And we're going to talk about that on the back.
Okay.
But if their function is attention,
Yeah.
the worst thing for you to do is go under the table and get them. Right? If their function is, I'm escaping this activity because I don't like it, right? Now, it's all going to affect how you change the variables going forward. So that's what we have to ask.
It's the latter.
Why?
Yeah.
So then it's, do we change the task? Do we set up a star chart? How do we get them into the activity? Is it too difficult? We're going to accommodate the activity so they feel successful. This kind of thing. We have to look at that variable and then tweak those variables that are affecting that child, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Can I answer that? I've done a lot of work in this area, so I've been trained as an autism movement therapist and some anxiety disorder, so I've been through many of these situations between my son and my classrooms, and kids will go under benches and tables, and I have found that the most effective way is to speak to their intelligence. Just go right up to them and say, we're going to start this thing, and usually if there's, can you help me pass out the paper? Usually I'll ask them, give them a task to do, and if they don't want to do that, then I'll say, okay, well, we're about to do something really fun, when you're ready, come join us. And within a matter of like seconds or minutes, they're out, because they see what the kids are doing. But if we leave them there, and if the kids are asking, why is that person under the bench?
Yeah.
I just say, don't worry, they're doing their thing, and all brains work differently, whatever I have to say in the moment, and then the kids come out, they just do, we just give them their space, we're not acknowledging them, we're not giving them that attention that they might be seeking. And when they recognize that, if that's what it is, they'll come out pretty quickly. And if they're shy, eventually they'll see that there's a place for them in the room. So we just kind of give them that space to do that.
Okay.
And it works, it's working out every time.
I need that.
And so I heard two things there. A,
Mm-hmm.
tried to get the student involved with a role, a job.
Right.
A lot of students go for that. I also heard that she lets them know something fun is coming, engaging activities, right? And then a lot of times they'll creep out when they say, oh, they're doing whatever, that song, I love that song, right? And then you mentioned autism. At Wish, of course, you'll be working with students with disabilities. That student might have a sensory need. Your class is too loud, too bright, too much movement, right?
Okay.
this kind. So it's like, it could be any of these variables, and we're gonna have to figure that out, what it is, right? And that's part of the team. And of course, there's gonna be teachers and specialists on any given site who hopefully will collaborate. I know at Wish, I can speak for Wish, that we're happy to collaborate. And a lot of times, we might have, oh, well actually that happened to us at the start of school, and here's what we did. We might have already figured out the answer just through trial and error and attempting to play with these variables. Yeah. Explicit expectations on each activity. And I can speak especially for the little ones, again, which is what I've been working with for the past 7 years. A lot of times I'll sit down at a center and they'll do something I didn't want them to do, but I'll realize I didn't tell them that. They were just doing what they thought they should do, right? Sit down and grab the magnets and start playing with them. They're little kids. They're gonna start grabbing. So it's part of our job as practitioners to have explicit expectations on each activity. Here's how we do this. We're about to do the springboard, and here's how we do springboard, right? Thinking gymnastics right now. So kids come to a center, and then I have to use that bubble gum hands, right? Wait for the teacher to pass out materials. If you need my help, raise my hand. I'm scripting this stuff the whole time, reminding them. Even before I ask a question, I'll say, raise your hand if you know this, to let them know the expectation. Always that, and if I mess up, I'll go, oh, I'm sorry guys, I didn't tell you my expectations. Let's take those materials back. Today we're doing blah, blah, blah. Here's how we're gonna do it. Then once you've told them, if some of these behaviors crop up, okay, now I know it's not because of being naive to the situation. But always remember that you have a role as a teacher to tell them what you expect, right? And now you're gonna have to follow through on that. Which is also to say, ask for realistic things. Expectations that you're willing to follow through on. But don't forget, don't assume they know what to do. You have to tell them, and that might be part of your chart. That might be verbally. But at least give them the heads up. And that's to you to say, a group of adults might walk into tennis and just realize, oh, I should probably go stand on the back line. I should probably get in the line if we're doing serves, and just figure that stuff out. These little guys, and that's 10 years and younger, they're not going to know the habits of tennis, or how do you handle, what do you do with clay, and you need to teach them that. High structure routine. I am not a high structure routine or organized person, but I've learned to fake it at my job. Which again is, you don't have to do any of this stuff, but I'm emphasizing that I don't like that in my own life, but I do it because I have to. When I first started teaching, I actually had an after-school program who would come in, they were a dance squad, and they'd push all my desks apart and not reset them, which was annoying. And in the morning, the last thing I wanted to do is put all the desks back. So I just kind of like pushed them out, and my high schoolers would come in and they'd just sit wherever the desks were. But when I committed to, I'm going to have desks, I'm going to have assigned seats, right? I'm going to be strategic about my assigned seats in terms of best friends and chatting. Oh, so much better. So much better. Structure and routine. Structure and routine. People want to know what to expect in life, right? When you're ready for a wild adventure, you sign up for that and pay people hundreds of dollars to go jump on a plane. But most of the time, you want to have structure and routine in your life, so you feel safe, you feel secure, you know what to expect, right? So if it's always a free-for-all, expect it to get chaotic. If it's structure that you teach them and follow through on, you'll probably get more results. And if you're anything like me, the first day will come, and they'll go through your lesson, and you'll take your breath after they leave and go, whew, I did not have time planned out the way I should have. Let's go back and revisit that. Because all these things cropped up that you weren't expecting. Well, guess what? Go back, routinize it, create some structure to it, implement it the next day, follow through. These next two, you've already alluded to it. It's like one of my bread and butter plays. And I think it'll work especially well with the types of things you guys are teaching. You either backload the highest, most desirable activity, or better yet, throughout your hour long, most of the classes are an hour long, is that right? Personally, I intersperse, because we all have less preferred activities in our area, right? You have to do it. You have to have a lecture. You have to have the drills, right? To get the fundamentals down, what have you. But I'm going to have something good waiting. And then I go back to maybe another fundamental or a lecture. But I'm coming, hey, guess what's coming up next? It's super fun activity. You've already talked about how it's golden for you. Because then you hold that currency.
Lego Marty, he does that.
That's how Lego Marty
His
does it?
structure is little, and then he does, bam, this is what I'm going to do.
Okay, and then you get the big project at the end.
And then they're all quiet and they sit.
Because they want to get at the big project,
Yes.
right? And, you know, I wish we talked a lot about natural consequences. We don't want any ostracizing, these punitives that are totally uncalled for, that, you know, just embarrass the child. But there is a natural consequence, and that's perfectly all right, which is, I'm sorry to pick on you, but you're right here, and I know you well. You're showing me you're not ready for big project X. I need someone safe, respectful, and responsible. Is that something you can do?
Yes.
Right? You're holding that current. You don't have to be mean about it, you don't have to yell at them, but you're letting them know, in no uncertain terms, you're not showing me the behavior ready for obstacle course. This type of thing. You see what I'm saying? You layer it. And you let them know if you want to get at that really fun game we're about to play, you need to show me you're ready. And that works well for me. You know, if I'm subbing in a class, because one of my general ed teachers has to be out, I come in, I look at the schedule, and I rearrange it. And if I have to, I'm going to end the day in kindergarten on free choice. Right? Free choice is the greatest thing of all time. Well, guess what? I'm turning around. I'm looking for people who are ready for free choice. Crisscross applesauce. Well, I better turn. There's one person still. Right? You don't have to call out their name. Because there could be 3 people still. There's still one person. Right? They all think it's them. Right? And I hold them accountable to access those things. So as you're thinking about your activities and about how you're going to structure them, in the very least, so you can hold a little bit of power, have that really great thing in the end. Or again, intersperse them throughout so you can remind them, hey, I'm looking for someone, I'm looking for a leader here. I'm looking for someone who can show me they're ready to be first. And, you know, then you get into the debate of philosophy, well, does everything have to be reward-based? Does everything have to be motivated? I want my kids intrinsically motivated. And I tell my new teachers, I good luck with that. We're trying to build intrinsic motivation, but there's people here, you know you're doing stuff for a paycheck. You know you've switched jobs for a higher pay. You know you saved up for a car you really want. You know you've gone for a vacation. Don't tell me human beings, to some degree, even the most zen among us, aren't motivated by some of this, right? Or some fun activity. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. It shouldn't be solely, you know, I think you do want to teach intrinsic motivation about being good for the sake of being good, for building relationships. But a lot of times with little ones, that kind of thing comes inadvertently. Like my kids with extreme behaviors, they're going to be motivated by that start chart so they can earn the sticker jar or whatever. But in doing that, instead of having these conflictual relationships with everybody, they start having friendly relationships with everybody because they're trying to get the sticker. But what do they inadvertently figure out? Oh wow, when I'm good and nice, people like me more and I have more friends. And that's what I explain to parents when I put someone on a star chart when they're working for something. Guess what? They're going to learn all those valuable life lessons as they work for this tangible item or their computer break. Because they're going to be having success with their peers, with their teachers. They're going to like school more and all those intrinsic things. So that's my piece on that. We talked about do not respond to call-outs unless you want them to call out. We talked about that. Proximity, nonverbals. A lot of times, you know, you come into the carpet, I'm looking for my secret all-star list, 10, 9, 8. Who's the first one back? Crisscross applesauce. And you get most of them back, right? And you want to start, but you got straggler over here. Keep teaching. Some people feel like, I gotta go get little Stu over there. Little Stu, he's messing around. I'm using you because you're the furthest away, coach. But now I'm gonna have to stop teaching. You have a voice, you can project. You have your visual up here. Okay, everyone take a look at the rook. Now in this move, the rook is going to go to F7. F7. Stu, I need you at the carpet. Just a little whisper, come back. Proximity. Non-verbal, I can just look at him while I'm teaching. I don't have to interrupt my teaching. Don't stop your teaching if you don't have to. You don't want to lose these guys, right? But just maybe a move towards him or her, a nonverbal, right? You know what I mean? Or here's what I do. This is golden. You guys know what parent share is? Right? I want you to turn to the person next to you. And again, you might have to explicitly teach that. Show them a couple times. And it helps if you have assigned seats. Because then you have your banana partner and your apple partner. And they always know who to turn to. Right? I want you to turn to your partner. Banana partner's going first. And I want you to talk about how many rolls you think you can do during somersault today. Ready, go! They turn, they're talking, they're engaged with each other. Stu. And now I can talk to Stu. Right? I bought myself 30 seconds, 45 seconds to try and troubleshoot this. If that's determined what I need to do. Or maybe we're ignoring him because we know, but the point is, don't stop what you're doing. Keep these guys engaged. Don't sacrifice the group. For one, there's other ways to address him or her. With the parent share, you put on your video, you do the dance, you call a leader up to do Simon Says, whatever. You keep talking while you go over there to tap him on the shoulder. Yes?
So what if there's an activity where one person's just like, okay, I don't want to do this. And then another, kid kind of sees that and, more and more is just like, okay, I don't want to do this. Like they kind of just or sit down or exclude themselves, but then the other ones kind of catch on and do the same thing. So it's kind of like half and half, where half are, excluding themselves, they're just sitting down in a corner or something, and then half are engaged. What do you do with that?
Again, there's multiple things or ways to address it. I would again, have those things loaded where after X comes Y, and Y I know you love,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, well, that's fine if you don't have to participate in X, but we're not doing Y then. Or if it could be a reflection on what you're doing. You have to remain open to the fact, maybe I didn't pick the best activity. If it's an ongoing problem situation where you just have that child who loves to be the naysayer, the Eeyore or whatnot, we might have to address them after class.
What if they just don't like the class?
I'll just sign them up and they
Yeah.
have what I'm saying.
Yeah. Like you were saying, with chess, why did this kid want to go to chess or something like that? It's if they don't want to be in this particular class.
Right.
So
Well, that's I have a lot of kids who don't like math, or struggle at math, or writing, or whatever academic subject. And that's when we get into if we accommodate it, if we change it slightly, what if I teach it in a different way, where we're doing it, and again, this is abstract, but, I notice if I engage him in game-based stuff, he's in. That's like the old thing, the best coaches don't always run the same offense. They change their offense every year based on the personnel they have. So if your personnel isn't the quiet, passive type who likes to listen, but they want to be engaged all the time, then you might have to say, I'm going to have to tweak my activities so I can get higher level engagement. Or I might have to teach this person some prerequisite skills so they can access the material. Maybe they're saying I don't like it because they feel lost and they don't feel intelligent because they can't do it as well as everyone else. A lot of what we get in kinder is, I want mommy. Well, I want mommy means I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm bored, I don't get it. But that's their communication skills, right? And then hopefully by the time they're an adult, which I'm sure we're also working on it, our communication becomes explicit, honest, to the point. We don't have partners and relationships and friends guessing what's wrong with us, although I'm sure we probably still do. But if you think about a kid, them saying, I don't like this could mean, I don't know. Or I like it better when we do this. Or I like your attention, you come over and talk to me every time I say I don't like it. Or this is my chance to get out with my friend. So then you're going to pick your course of action. Maybe I need to get firm with them. Maybe I need to talk to mom. Maybe I need to set up an incentive system. Right? Maybe I need to tweak the activities. And again, your personality and your style is going to dictate what you're going to do. So I know my gut reaction is to, at least in that given day, follow through, right? And have that child do the activity, right? But again, that could backfire me on time. I might ruin my rapport with that child. I had a kid who wouldn't go to the classroom the other day. Miss Katie went out in the hallway. She's so sweet and loving. Next thing you know, the kids in the class. So you know, and that's the other thing. You might have to get, I know you're the coordinator on our campus, right? You might have to put two heads on the situation at that particular time. And on the back, I know I have my number when we talk about crisis intervention. But short of crisis intervention, you know, having part of the reason WISH works is the collaboration. We have two people in the room. The speech teacher might have an idea. Mom might come in and say, hey, this is what worked at home. Okay, why am I trying to reinvent the wheel? So you might have to get two heads on that case to figure out how is it we get this kid to access. I've had kids, they just want to be the scorekeeper. Finding roles because he loved numbers. I don't want to dribble up and down. But actually, that was coaches. That guy's in middle school now. I'll talk to you later but I remember you got to be the scorekeeper and he was into it. Because he wasn't ready to shoot. So findings, that's called partial participation. What is it they do like or they can do?
There was one, she just wanted to, she didn't like the running part of tennis, but just wanted to get the ball. So
So you comment.
So I said, okay, well, what you'll do is you'll go against the wall and just hit the wall. And whatever you can hit, it comes back to you can hit. And she refused to run. Oh, I'm not gonna run. I'm just gonna lay here.
Sounds like a child after my own heart.
Sounds like me, that's what it sounds like.
Well, what would you like to hit the ball? It's okay, you'll hit the ball. You'll improve the way you hit.
And then the kid in robotics class, who's her friend, guess what? She needs someone to go get the ball. That's her project. Now he's engaged or she's engaged.
Exactly.
So I mean, it becomes some creative thinking, some analysis of why they're doing it. So I can't give you like this works 100% of the time. But you have to dig in and be that analyst and say, why is this happening? Looking at yourself, looking at what you're doing, looking at what the kids are doing, and saying, what could we tweak here?
I do have to say the star chart works. I remember with the one student working towards Star Wars, that really worked. I was like, oh, you want to watch Star Wars? Let's work through that.
You can earn it, and then at the end, you watch your 3 minutes of Star Wars, everyone's happy.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just don't, they don't understand the rules of the game. They're really afraid of failure. That's just been my experience over the years. If somebody's really afraid of failure, and I would say, and I've been a middle school teacher for many years, so, but I've also taught the little ones, and all the way through college. So yeah, it's an interesting, but at those younger ages, anything they fear is amplified by mirrors or whatever. But so what's worked for me is just making sure that I make my classroom a really safe place for people to make mistakes and not judge each other. And do a rap song or do something like, do one of your warm-ups where they do something else maybe and make it really fun. Sometimes that works too, just to sort of throw them off a little bit. And then they get into it as they, through your warm-up exercises, they might suddenly get turned on by switching things up.
And that reminded me of bringing the child's strengths. Well, what do you like? Is there a way we can combine these things? Like, yeah, if they're in tennis, I'm not ready to go hit, but they love making graphics on the computer, getting them, you're building rapport those first couple days.
Right.
Well, can you make a graphics PowerPoint about some of the tennis rules? So they're there, they're getting to know the kid, maybe other kids get interested in them. Remember, there was one kid that had no friends, and but he was really good at this game. Right. The kids watched him do it, he made friends, and now he wants to do it. Now he wants to do reading center, writing center, and math center. It's because he didn't have friends or feel like he was part of the group. So you got to start playing with things and figure out how do we get access. And there isn't always a one size fits all, unfortunately. But if you're willing to put the time in, we say no one at our campus can say, I've tried everything. Well, you tried a lot. And maybe you can't try everything because there's limits, but is there something else we can try? Here's just some other tricks. Instead of, I knew this one teacher when I was in Chicago, I could hear all the way down the hall. She just yelled all year. I couldn't believe it. Her voice never lost her voice. She could yell, but I saw the kids are just getting louder and louder throughout the year. The yelling's not working. But sometimes if you keep real low and slow, right? And with the little little kids, you turn it into a game. I know you're ready for this. If you give me doggy balls, if you make a sound, right? You get them into that. I say you do. Get them on track. And then maybe, all right, who's ready for this? You know what I mean? You change your stuff. Change what you're doing. Flip the script. Change gears on them to get them. What? What's he or she saying? I think I added that eye contact works well with children with high energy. That was your art teacher last year, and it was such a good idea at the time we added it during the presentation. And I can't remember exactly what she said, but for her it was just, and maybe she was building that connection with the kid. Right. I'm acknowledging you, I know you're here. Right? Remember, a lot of communication is nonverbal. Right? Maybe the kid just wants that pat on the shoulder. Eye contact. Right? Maybe you get a special signal for a kid who's scared. When you're scared, you just go ahead and do this, and you can take your break. Right? Yes?
With the eye contact thing too, I've noticed for a lot of the littler ones, if you actually crouch down and get face to face with them, they tend to like respond to you a lot better than having to look up at you. That's like something I was told a long time ago. I realized the difference.
Yeah.
That if you actually get on their level, if they're, especially if it's like a problem kid who's giving you an issue, and then if you actually like crouch down and like kind of level with them, that's usually kind of they feel a little bit more secure.
I mean, thinking about we're giants to these guys, but that's intimidating. What you're saying is, no, hey,
Yeah.
I'm not threatening. I'm here. I'm part of what we need to do here. Yes. Plenty of opportunities for participation. All right, we talked about parent share. This is towards the bottom here. Total physical responses. Again, you're teaching tennis. All right, everyone ball up, serve. Again, you know, where they're moving, so they're still in their spot, but they're getting opportunities, and this is tried and true technique with our English language learners, is they might not understand the words you're saying, but if you're saying, if you're doing a, everyone throw the ball, hit the ball, right? They're associating that movement and learning that vocabulary. Plus it's fun, it's engaging, they're getting a chance to participate. Calls and responses, voting. All right, who agrees that the best way to shoot is underhand? They yell out, me. So you have to start with, okay, thumbs up or thumbs down? If you think yes, thumbs up. If you think down, no, thumbs down. Who thinks the best way to shoot a basketball is, remember, go with your thumbs. I'm always cueing them because they're going to yell out. Who thinks the best way to shoot is with your thumb or underhand? Thumbs up. Who's that? You think that. You think that. You're acknowledging they're getting a chance to participate, right? Rather than sitting there 10 minutes, listening. Right? All right, everyone, get your queen piece. Put on your crown. We're moving the queen. Raise your hand. Who remembers how the queen can move? Parent share. And then you give them a script. Turn to your partner and say, the queen moves by. The queen moves by, and you start off that parent share. They got a chance to talk. You can come back to lecture. People want to participate, right? You guys are a great audience. You can passively listen for a long time. But kids can't. And y'all probably zoned out and thought about your laundry list of things to do and what I've been doing, this kind of thing. So imagine the little brain, where it's going and what it wants to do. It wants to get up and do movement stuff. All right, we're going to talk about how hard do we hit the tennis ball. If we're close to the net, we're going to do a little hit. Everyone get crouched down. Do a little bitty hit. Okay, let's go. Medium hit. Big hit. Little hit. Right, get them moving a little bit. Back to the square. Participate that principle. Ways to vote, signals, parent share, call and response. Give them opportunities to be part of the group, engaged. Remember, if you are doing, raise your hand if there's those 2 or 3 kids who are ready to answer like that. They're brain so fast. Some people need wait time. So it's great you have those kids that I bring those in the audience, right? I know Billy's going to know this. I can call on Billy if I have to. But let's give Mikey a chance to think about it. Maybe Mikey can answer it. He might need 15 seconds, right? So remember that. If wait time for some kids, they need more time to process. So on to the back. How are we doing on time there, Coach? Can you wrap it up?
Another 5 to 10 minutes?
Okay. Well, the whole idea with the front is that is all proactive stuff. You want to be proactive. every day when I'm teaching, I have to react to something, and I think, how can I be proactive on this so it doesn't happen again the next day? Right? Just this week, little kid, first time at school, he was hitting me in bad places, screaming, trying to climb the fence. He didn't want to be there. I want mom. You're going to call mom. Something at some point, I think someone probably called mom. They gave in because he kind of had that. You're going to call mom. I'll hit you here, like this kind of thing, like expecting me to KO. I'm like, I'm not calling mom. But I was getting tired of playing this game. You know, the first hour of my day or whatever it's been. But then Friday came and he didn't do it. Monday came after the long weekend when a lot of kids had been spending time with mom and dad all weekend. He didn't do it. Tuesday he did it again. I started thinking, what are the variables here? What happened on Friday and Monday that didn't happen today? And it's a team effort. I'm talking to mom. I'm talking to my other teachers. We figured out. And finally it was, oh, when dad drops him off, it's not happening. He's got such a strong attachment to mom. They probably spent the last 5 years together every day. It's just too much. So what does the team do? We tweak it. Dad drops him off today. We had a little bit, but he was in the class right away. No huge outbursts, screaming, crying, kicking, throwing dirt, whatever it's been. So, had I been reactive, like sooner or later he's going to get used to it. Mom drops him off, and I, chase him around for 2 hours. That's a reactive strategy. Trying to figure it out once the problem happens. The proactive strategy was analyzing the situation, figuring out the number one variable in this situation is who's dropping him off, and just addressing that, being proactive so I don't have to do the 2 hours of reaction. So the whole thing about the green part is these are proactive strategies. What can we do to set ourselves up for success? Right? Yes?
What would you do if the parents weren't willing to switch things around and the
Or they
mom didn't
couldn't?
continue to drop him off, so you weren't able to stop the problem at the source and you had to just keep dealing with it?
Then you tweak it the best you can. We're like, well, we'll have a buddy. He's a little bit nervous out there by himself. We'll have a play buddy. We'll do the star chart, if he could do that. Then the things, if you do a star chart, you're like, and then you earn Star Wars, because I work for the last kid, but this kid doesn't like Star Wars. It's meaningless. So you have to have something, A, that's doable for you, right? Cost effective, all that kind of stuff, and don't go over the top. I've had coloring pictures that I just print, Mario pictures. You don't have to be running out to Toys R Us, and like it can be sometimes just a star chart showing mom. And then if he gets 20 stars throughout the week, then he gets to pick movie night. So don't start low. Start low. Could be easier than you think, or just again, it was 3 minutes on the phone or a Star Wars book. You don't have to buy the Star Wars figurine. I had one of the parents, in efforts to get the child comfortable using the bathroom at our school, offered a Frozen comforter. You're gonna okay? And they never followed through on. Right? So you got to be careful with this stuff. You're definitely like, I need you to go to the bathroom here. I'm tired of changing you. I'll get you whatever. But then it's like, well, now that you learn to use the bathroom here, and the kid's like, where's my Frozen comforter? I did.
I would pee on that Frozen comforter.
The movie.
Movie Frozen.
Oh. But that would be nice. I like to sleep cool. The movie. You got it that for me?
It's Elsa comforter.
Elsa, thank you. Then you'd be like, why is she trying to take Elsa's comforter? What is Elsa? Poor little Elsa.
I'm imagining a comfort going into the freezer. That's like a lot of speed.
That's so uncomfortable.
You don't have to
It's the tree, I don't know.
Cool thinking. Don't let that kid
Frozen
go.
comforter. David Downey. Obviously I have a boy.
For the second time, in terms of the back, we've actually talked a lot about this stuff, but the idea is you're doing a lot of stuff whole class. Now you have to move into the individual. What do you need? A first-then chart is simply, first we're doing this, then we're doing that. You want to play with that ball? That's fine, but first we're doing this, then we're doing that. Sometimes you have to write it out, sometimes you have to draw little pictures of it, depending on the kid's age or developmental level. But it's highly effective because, again, kids want to know what's coming. First we'll do this, then we'll do that. And then you follow through. And they'll learn, oh, when Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so says this, they mean it. It might take a couple times, but they'll learn the routine and what to expect from you. The star chart, again, the star chart is whatever's, you know, you get to know the kid, be like, do this, this, and this, you get your 3 stars, then you can have your Star Wars break with the book for 3 minutes, and you come back in, what have you. Again, the incentive has to be meaningful to that child. Oh, the first one was priming before class. You catch them before we come in. Here's what we're going to do today. What are we going to do? Maybe you give them a little social story, which is a story about an individual doing the target behaviors you want them to do. There was a boy, Johnny, and he was in gymnastics class. And when he was in gymnastics class, he did da-da-da on the bars. He did da-da-da. What, you know, and then you ask the kid, what are you going to do? And then if we do that, they'll be successful. If you prime them. You prime them about what to expect. Again, don't assume these little kids know what to do. You have to tell them every time before that activity. You might have to model social skills and problem-solving strategies. Again, we're adults. We've been through life. We've gained some skills. They might not know how to problem solve. I had 2 kids almost in a knockdown drag-off fight today because they played rock, paper, scissors to see who got the read first, and they each threw one. And then this kid cut the rock, he thought he won. And they had fists. No, I won, I'm going first. And I explained to them, here's how we play. Now they know for next time. Right? So you might have to teach them this stuff. Maybe you have really sharp scissors, like I could cut the rock.
Sharp enough scissors, you can cut anything.
Right. I know we're down to just a couple minutes. I do want to touch upon the last thing, the crisis cycle. It's probably a rarity, but you do want to be prepared. I'm sure coach is going to tell you your protocol. If crisis means something's happening where things are turning aggressive, violent, people are in danger of hurting themselves or others, maybe you'll even include breaking extremely valuable equipment. Sometimes you have to be like, you know what, we're just losing that flower bed. Give the kid his space, let him calm down, because if I move in now, I'm just going to further escalate him. But if other kids are in danger, staff's in danger, of course, Stu's going to decide how your company responds to it, but I do know...
Call Steve.
But just with amongst your ranks, 2 are better than 1. So if it's your room, and you need to call your coordinator over, that's for your safety, right? Should something come up, oh, she grabbed his arm and yanked him. Oh, no, I was there, no, she didn't, right? It's for your safety and your protection, for the child's safety. A lot of times, this works. There's this one kid, works 100% of the time, young man with autism. He, again, doesn't have the language to say, whatever, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I hate this, I'm bored. He'll do, I want mommy, and if he's really frustrated, he just starts hitting, spitting, right? And we learned early on, right? You're the young person, you're doing it to me. I can do everything in the book to try and de-escalate you. But what works better is adult number 2 switches in. I walk away. This don't work with every kid, but this particular kid works, and there's a reason I'm telling you. You step in, she stops, and now the communication ensues.
Because he's like,
I become the target.
yeah.
So the idea of having 2 people there is you can do a switch. If the child got escalated initially because he or she didn't get the Lego, but now they're taking all that anger out on the adult they perceive to be the cause of that problem, or whatever reason, sometimes you just need to step away. You know, our ego says, I'm going to solve this, I'm in charge here, this is going to get done. You're just going to further escalate. And guess what? I think I wrote this on here. When the kid's going through the crisis cycle, you're going through it too. Some of us are better than others at maintaining our composure, but if you're getting hit, kicked, slapped, you know what? Even if you're trying to appear calm, you're probably getting, I want to get out of here, or I'm getting angry at this kid, or whatever. And you need the opportunity to switch out, right? Walk away. But the best thing to do is if, you want to be right now, this kid needs to listen. One of our the kids who can be the most aggressive at our school, we find if we just walk away, give him access to whatever it is he wants, even though he doesn't deserve it, he just gets it, right? And it's gotten to that point where people are in danger. It all stops. Now this young person does have to, later on, deal with the consequences of that, But trying to enforce it in that moment when that person is seeing red is just a dangerous decision. You're not supposed to have the computer. You know what? You have it though because of what you're willing to do to get it right now, which is hurt me, break the computer, hurt other kids. You can have it, and we'll deal with it later, right? There will be the proper punitive, but that's not the time to do it. Yes?
I was just gonna say, it's almost as if, because this is what happened to my son when he was much younger, he's fine now, but it's almost like they're having an out-of-body experience and they become uncontrollable. They're not, you cannot reason with that, you have to de-escalate. But then, as a teacher, my son taught me so much. So as a teacher then, I would start to see those signs and then you can almost see a look in your students' eyes. If you catch them between 0 and 3, they won't escalate up to 10. Some will go right away to 10, but if you can catch a look, sometimes then you can do something to help them to not get to that point where they're a danger to themselves or to others. And, that's probably one of the best things you could do, but you have to be, if you have a huge class, it's hard to do that, but.
Yeah, and again, this is hopefully doesn't happen at all this semester. Maybe it happens to one you at one site. But I'd say the best protocol is get that second person there and give that child space. Now, obviously, if that child's going after other kids, sometimes you have to clear the whole class, right? Don't restrain children. You're not trained in that. You're not legally protected to do that to hold kids, right? You might be able to block and move, right? And that would be justified, but when you're not trained in holding kids, right? There's probably a crisis team like myself on the campus. Stu's going to put you in touch with us at Wish. I don't know if you're in the works with the other campuses about that, but if it gets to that point, most of the time, again, get 2 people, give that child space. If they have access to that thing they're not supposed to, so be it. It'll be dealt with later, right? And let them calm down. In the event they continue to come after you or other kids, again, you're blocking, moving, getting away. Someone's on the horn to get the special ed teacher, the behaviorist, the principal, what have you. Or maybe you're not on horn, you're yelling down the hallway, you see another teacher. We need help here, right? But the best idea is get the second person there and give that child space. Now, of course, if you were able to calm them down in that low range, great. But we're talking about once they're getting to that point where people are in danger. You don't have to be a hero. You don't have to follow through at that point. It'll be dealt with at a later time. Is that clear? Is that consistent with what you want to say with 5-star? Yes.
Under what?
So you see my number on there. You're probably going to want to add your coordinator's number on there. And I always make sure my phone's on. And I say, don't text me in those situations. I don't hear beep, beep. I hear the phone ringing. Right? I'm in a loud class. I don't call me.
You should get SOS.
Does that say that? Call me. And if you're stationed at Wish, we'll get you the other special ed teacher's numbers, perhaps the classroom teacher. And Stu does a good thing with your company, which is he sends out the list of who's in your class. Right? We'll have known them at that point by months, some of the kids for years. We're going to say, here's the kid, here's the kid, here's the kid, here's the kid's program, here's what's going on with this kid. So we're going to try and get you heads up, and I recommend you do that with the other campuses as well, if you're not already. But it's the buddy system, allow space for de-escalation. If they're continuing to be aggressive, clear the area. You can defend yourself, don't restrain. They say if you're going to restrain, what we're trained in the various ones I've been in is, then you're on the verge of calling 911. Because when you start restraining, kids have died, kids have broken arms, right? Now we're talking about you losing credentials, you having a record, you having, right, long legal battles. Of course, you want everyone safe, but if you can accomplish the same thing by just moving away, as you could by holding a child down, pinning them, risking asphyxiation, hurting. I mean, think about the weakness of a child's infrastructure, like the damage you can do with not knowing the techniques. I wouldn't risk it.
What do you suggest we do if a child, Stevie, decides to bolt for the gate to go outside? And obviously I'm supposed to restrain them, but on the other hand, we don't want them running into the street.
Right. With this kid the other day, I just ran up to the gate and I stood by the gate, right? Now, if they proceed to hit you, you're gonna have to block and do what you're gonna have to do. But there's other people on campus. This isn't 8 at night. It's 4, and you're getting the help of the nearest person. Again, we hope it doesn't get there, but sometimes you take a couple shots to the ribs, right? And again, that child's probably gonna be removed from 5-star, it's not gonna happen again. But, you start shoving back or tackling back, you have to make that determination. For me, this little kid the other day, he did catch me between the legs once, he did catch me on the back a couple times, but, I was able to move away and no one else got hurt. And then we had to get a plan in place so he doesn't keep doing it. But you really have to maintain your composure, get that buddy in place, and get that crisis team in place. And again, I wish it'd be me and some of the other teachers will get you those numbers. And it might seem like an eternity, but hopefully it's just a couple minutes where you're holding that gate, blocking and defending, and you get, you're on the phone or whatever here like this. Need help with the gate, need help with the gate.
But this is a question for
Yeah.
Stu and Sean, thank you. I know on the form, we don't know sometimes when we go into the class that there's some students that need your assistance. Is there a way that we can add that line item on there? Because then I've been caught a couple of times and
So-
didn't realize it.
So if the parents, we have a section in our online registration system where it says health and special needs issues.
Right.
If parents disclose it to us, then it'll show up on your roster. If they don't disclose it, then we won't know necessarily, but what we've done, starting on maybe mid last year, or maybe earlier, we started sending the rosters to like Steve and the paras that are at the school. So if they identify someone like that and they tell us it's a challenging child, then we can add it to the roster. But if the parents don't tell us and they forget or whatever, then we just have to wait till something happens, which has happened once or twice, which, but we do the best we can with it.
So you said not to like restrain anybody, obviously. What if they're like going after like another kid?
Again, I mean, there's no like classroom model, but you use your best judgment, right? And perhaps you break them up like this with the least amount of force possible, and you're telling the other kids, I want everyone out the door, right? And the child who's the aggressor, you're holding back with the least amount of force. Clear the area, remove those variables, right? And then hopefully at that point, they have the room to themselves, maybe they break a book, rip a book or whatever, and, right, at least it's not that child. Again, we're talking about that rare situation. And the other thing is, what happens is these things don't come out of nowhere. We look back and go, oh, well, he didn't get the Lego, we didn't step in, we stepped in, and we grabbed it out of his hand. Like a lot of times you look back at these situations and go, wow, there was 6 things leading up to it where it could have been prevented, but we kept escalating. I insisted, I followed through, I yelled at him, this kind of thing, and it was, going back, had we handled it this way, it never would have gotten to the 10. It would have just been a minor disturbance. So that's why I was trying to impress upon you all these green strategies and.
Can I
Yes.
just offer one other thing? This is something that we do at Crossroads in the elementary school, and it's called Walking the Peace Path. And if you can, this is just it also teaches the kids how to communicate with each other. But, 3 things, you walk through 3 gates. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? So whatever they're saying, they have to make sure, it's actually, is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Because they'll say something, that person took my Lego, and they're going to say bad things about them. But maybe then you ask them to think about what they're saying and how they're acting, and then have them talk to each other back, take turns. When you took that Lego from me, it felt like this. And sometimes they wind up together being able to dialogue with each other. You have to have somebody else in the room to keep the class going or to take them aside and do this. But if they dialogue with each other, they start to learn how to say, how to manage solve the problem together. And then you don't have to leave the classroom. And sometimes in a classroom setting, if there's too much chaos, I'll just take everybody back to the circle. We'll sit in a circle and maybe discuss it as a whole, but hopefully not. Hopefully it's just those two will have their little dialogue, and then it's over. And it works well, but you have to have an assistant in the room, or
The kids are engaged.
or the kids are
whatever.
engaged with something else, so that you can sit and guide them through the process of and then each person gets to take a turn. So, but when I don't think I took it from you, I think you took it from me, and so it felt like that to me. And in the end, they could agree to disagree, they don't always have to come to a solution, but that there's a peaceful ending to it, that they are okay and they can go off and then they're not frustrated and angry, and it works if you can work it, if you can do it, and then they feel empowered, and then they often, you can see them doing it on their own, and it's really cute when you see them actually having that.
That's actually
on their own.
the Wishes model is we want student-centered, student first, solving their own issues to mediate. I know we have to wrap it up, we're going to comment. I was just going to say, if you do that, and the kids are doing activity X here, mediate with the 2 kids right here, so you can still see through them, see the activity, so you can occasionally, remember, 2-step or whatever, and then come back to this. Always think of your body positioning in terms of how can I negotiate the situation. Well, I can sit here and watch everyone else while these 2 kids talk it out.
Just to add to that, something I find really interesting is that I found myself on multiple occasions having to explain to the kids what a miscommunication is, where one of them will be like, no, but I'm right, and they're like, no, but I'm right, and I go, okay, well here's, you thought she meant this, but you thought he meant this, and then they kind of go, oh, and then everyone kind of like works it out. So there's like a weird gray area that like we as adults deal with all the time that kids don't really know how to think about, so helping them kind of figure out like socially what went wrong in the discussion is something I've noticed helps a lot of times too, that comes up.
And that's our thing at our campus is we're educating the whole child. It's not just reading, writing, arithmetic, but it's physical, mental, emotional, socially, and we encourage you taking time to do those things if you can, and let the kids figure out those problem-solving skills. They gotta learn them somewhere at some time.
It's amazing that you're able to do that at your school.
It's wonderful. Sorry, you're still here.
It was, I actually went online, I was looking for middle schools and your school wasn't opening yet. And I thought, oh my God, that looks like such an incredible school. Because I just wanted my son to thrive and not just survive in the school setting. And now he's 16 and he's doing really, really well. But I had to find the right place, but what you're doing is still unique, unfortunately, that you're, the focus. And so I applaud you and honor you for the hard work you're doing.
Well, thank you, and same to you guys. I look forward to working with those you at Wish, and
Yeah.
those you not at Wish, you have my number on here. But again, I encourage you to do a team effort at your campus, not only to collaborate about just regular management strategies, but should something come up that you can call someone else in a crisis, and also getting the right personnel at that campus about, okay, should it really get to that level, who are we calling, to come in and solve the situation. If the most I can do is redirect students in block and move, right? So I guess if there's other further questions, I'm certainly happy to hang back. I know it's a time limit, you guys gotta get going. Coach Stu, back to you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. So first of all, we're very fortunate that Steve is on campus at Wish Charter. He's a wonderful support person, just a wealth of information and teaching us all how to manage children in a much better and effective way. So thank you so much, Steve. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for all your contributions and questions and ideas.
And if we could just take maybe 1 or 2 minutes to introduce those who will be teaching with us. So Steve has sort of a face-to-face. So James, you teach martial arts.
I'll do the martial arts class, yeah.
Very good. Look forward to it.
And Gabby teaches basketball.
Look forward to having you back.
And you know Kelsey.
Yeah,
And Michelle, you know Michelle?
yeah.
And Tom?
Tom, I'm
Tom,
trying to think of my Tom.
the filmmaking class.
I think
Oh, yeah, you were in Miss Mine's room, I think?
yeah.
Yeah, you were there when the kids were crazy. And
You helped us out
with that.
You were the one who helped with organizing their backstage.
Yes.
Pre-getting on
I do
set
remember.
organization.
So does anybody have any last minute questions they want to ask Steve before we conclude with this part of the program? We're good? If anybody has any questions later, let me know. I'll get it to Steve.
Yeah.
We can talk about it and get you more information.
Thank
But
you.
again, Steve, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Have a great start to your year.
So at this point, if you guys want to take a 5 or 10 minute break and go to the bathroom, get a drink of water, get some more pizza. We got lots of cookies over here. And then we'll start up in about